Hello everyone, my name is Esperanza Rangel and this is Saucy Bass Talk.
Hola, asegúrate de suscribirte a este canal. This is Saucy Bass Talk, your favorite bass talk channel. We have a lot of things coming up for you, so don't forget to subscribe.
Today we're going to be talking about what makes a bass player great. Obviously there's tons of things that can make a bass player great, but what are those things that other musicians think that makes a bass player great? I went on Instagram and asked you guys about this, and you guys had a lot of answers for me. So we're gonna go over a few of them and see what makes a bass player great. Number one is Herman Tiger underscore Quesada, who is my neighbor and now will be moving out. And he says, being able to hold down the band, licks and fancy stuff come after. I agree. You kind of have to just keep it, have that pocket and make sure that you're keeping everyone on lockdown, and then later on then you move on to other stuff. I kind of learned that not too long ago, like a few years ago, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Carmelo Sotelo says, gotta contribute to the style of the band. Amongst many other things that bass players have to do, one of the things is that we do have to listen to the band that we are playing with or for and make sure that we contribute to that style, because a lot of it comes from the bass, and many people don't know that because we almost kind of have been left behind for many years, up until maybe a couple years ago, and now people are kind of recognizing bass players more in our sound. So yes, we do contribute to the sound of the band or the style of the band, and a good bass player will recognize that and add to it. My cousin Güero says, locked with the drums. FYI, he is a drummer, so this is valid. We understand this. Yes, that is true. The bass player has to make sure that they are following the drummer and vice versa, and in conclusion, both of them will find a sound and it will sound pretty great. Okay, Adan from Los Hijos del Valle Oficial says, make your instruments sing. So I'm not really sure what he refers to, but I think just in simple terms, if you are playing even bass, you have to make sure that you know everything so well that it just sounds flawless and it just sounds like it's singing. He also added, follow Los Hijos del Valle Oficial. Hey, that's his band. Shameless plug. Tololoquio? I always get confused with this Instagram name, but he's a great Tololoche player from Texas. He says, knowing when and when not to. Moderation. Right. So as a bass player, it's very simple for us to just kind of run along our fretboards, right? Up and down all day long at our gigs, at any show. But no, actually, a good bass player, or a great bass player in this case, will know when to do something and when not to do something. Moderation and also self-control. Jay Rafi, he says, less is more. This is something that a drummer told me many, many years ago when I was out there freelancing. He said, less is more. Just make sure that when whatever you do is less, but that less is accountable for, and that it sounds so powerful that even if you did want to add more, you really didn't need to. So that is true. I do believe that less is more, and along with everything else that we have been mentioning so far, will create a great bass player. Livarius underscore 26 says, knowing their parts. Pretty much prior to rehearsals, bass players should know their parts, because a lot of the times there are a lot of songs too out there that we don't think have parts to the song, but they do, and we kind of just have to make sure that we follow those parts, that we know our parts, and that's kind of what makes you also great. Moving on, we have Caesar, which is the bass player for Hermanos Bros, really good bass player. He says, have your own style. Yes, you do have to have your own style, because aside from holding it down, you also want to make sure that you are contributing to the band style, but also have your own style. That kind of goes hand in hand. And knowing or identifying that you do want to have a good style could really elevate you pretty well. As a consequence, Los Hermanos Bro says they're a drummer. No. Bass players should be great on their own, but a drummer should enhance that. Santista underscore 8, he says, to be able to execute his imagination. This is true. This is very, very true, because I remember recording a song for a band a few months ago, and I couldn't Okay, so I imagined the song how I wanted it, right? And when I went to the studio, I said, okay, this is how I want this song done. This is like what I'm imagining it, how I'm imagining it. And now I need to put it on my fretboard and actually execute it. And I think it's one of the very few times that that did happen, where it was in my brain, it was an idea that was created, and then I put it onto my bass and it sounded amazing. And sadly, I got out of the band that I was recording for, and if they do end up releasing that song, my image is not gonna be on there, and it's kind of sad. But we'll probably review that song on this channel just so that I could just reminisce on it, because it really was a whole thing. It was great. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, pretty much to make sure that your imagination is created and then it's onto your fretboard. And the last one, Jorge says, practice in capital letters. Yes, make sure that you practice. I think number one thing, aside from everything, it's funny that this is the last comment because it should have been the first one, because I think number one, the only way all these other things are possible is by practice, is by rehearsal. It's by all the time just being on your bass pretty much. But yeah, these are one of the things or some of the things that make bass players great. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there's other things out there that can make a bass player great? I really think it narrows down to practice, to be very honest. But aside from that, everything else that was mentioned here is very valid and is very, very true. This is Saucy Bass Talk. My name is Esperanza Rangel. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. We have more bass content coming up. We kind of had derailed a little bit on our channel, and we were kind of just doing whatever we wanted. But we have decided to just bring back to the basics and go back into our basics and start our bass journey again. We have a few other videos coming up for you guys, and I hope you guys like it. Bye.